Hello, friends, fam. This is Elise Anamkara for Anamkara Astrology. Thank you so much for being here. We are under a new moon in Pisces, and before I get into it, because I have a lot of things to say, please like, share, and subscribe. If you are interested in a personal reading from me or from some astrology education, Elise at anamkaraastrology.com or through the contact button on the website, anamkaraastrology.com. Okay. This is what I'm saying. It's a little noisy out here, so I might end up doing this entire thing again in voiceover. Who knows? But while I'm out here in nature, I just want to get in there. We're having a new moon in Pisces. It was exact at 2 a.m. this morning, 2:06 a.m., Monday, February the 20th, on the East Coast here in the United States, Eastern Time. 50 minutes after the new moon took place in Pisces, Venus, the goddess of love and our values, ingressed into Aries. That bridge between the last sign of the zodiac, Pisces, and Aries is the most sacred, most intense, and, most transformative, literally, figuratively, energetically, bridge that there is in the entirety of the zodiac. It represents the place where we go from the nebulous spirit goo, okay, on the other side, into an individualized self, an individual spark, God spark, that comes into its own being and body for the purpose of experiencing its own being, its own body, its own identity, its own will, and the power it has to enact its own will and to put into action the beauty, the wholeness, the love, the devotion, the mystery that is spirit, Pisces. So this new moon is really a reactivation station, but it is not without its trials. It is also experiencing an out-of-sign conjunction from Saturn in Aquarius. So everything that is also beautiful and blissful and, this feeling of interconnectedness and otherworldliness and, faith can easily also be a loss of self, of martyrdom, of, extinguishing the self for the purpose of other. And this is really this Pisces fog that we are moving away from conceptually, that we need to. We are in the age of Aquarius, so we're still at the beginning of the cross currents between Pisces and Aquarius. And this activation, this grassroots activation, which I'll get into grassroots later, is, the individual self is a sacred being. And anything that makes you feel like it's not, or oh, I wish I was someone else, or what I came here to do isn't possible, or, I feel unsupported in it, or I don't have any faith in it, or in myself to be able to accomplish it. So I guess I'll just do this other person's thing, or I'll just help or save someone else. That is an illusion. That is a delusion. And that is something that we are checking in on for real in this new moon. And fortunately, it is bringing this sense of beauty and bliss and what could be. It also is going to be giving us some of that, oh shit, or what have I been doing for this past however long? And, why, I should have accomplished this already, or, all this kind of stuff. So I'm going to read a little bit of what I wrote about this, but I do want to start in terms of this feeling of change and the need for change, and and this new moon giving us a reactivation of the bliss and the supportedness that we all have from our inherent connectivity to one another through spirit, and how we are inherently supported and loved and not cut off from our power source. The things that make you feel cut off from your power source, from source, are illusions and delusions, and this is a new moon to set an intention to let go of those illusions and delusions so you can get to your divine work, so that you can feel your way through the fog and find the next step without feeling like I can't go anywhere, paralyzed in fear, or wanting to turn back before you've even made the journey. So I am going to borrow from some imagery that the wonderful astrologer Pam Gregory gave to us in her new moon video, which I thought was fantastic. She conjured this image when thinking about this new moon of like us being at a theater, like, and that the scenery is crumbling. It's old, it's crumbling. It needs to be replaced. It needs to be changed. It needs to be updated. But instead of doing anything about it or disrupting the show, the actors, okay, might start speaking louder or chewing the scenery in an attempt to keep and hold our attention on the narrative, as opposed to what we are naturally inclined to see and be, influenced by, which is, holy shit, this scenery is crumbling and is trash and it's falling apart, and maybe even there's people removing parts of it on stage, and the rest of the world, the people that are really the people that are about the work and are no longer taking the illusion or the delusion or the polite just let the show go on kind of messaging lightly, and instead they're actually putting up some scaffolding and taking things down piece by piece, even while the actors are starting to act louder and try to get your attention and hold your attention. This is kind of what we are experiencing now with what is happening. And again, that was imagery that Pam Gregory gave to me and to you. Maybe I'll put the link to her video in the comments. But I just thought that is like so amazing. Like, yes, there is a need for a change of scenery. There is a need to change the entire, maybe we don't even need the theater anymore. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we definitely need theater, but we actually need to acknowledge how much theater is happening in the world right now, how much theater is going around us, and not the good kind of theater that it used to be. This sacred storytelling, this storytelling of imparting wisdom to generations through storytelling, through the human vessel, inspired by spirit, so that we acknowledge our spiritual continuum, our physical continuum, our cultural continuums, and that we feel supported and educated and reinvigorated by this message, and how and where it resonates in us and what it impels us to do, what it inspires us to do, instead of this fraudulent kind of story, this kind of commercial story that has all the form without the content. It's not actually giving you any kind of nutrition. It's not actually helping your soul or nurturing your soul or giving you a sense of hope. Or maybe it does give you hope, but it's like a false hope. It's like taking a powerful painkiller, instead of actually giving you something or a protocol that will actually help you overcome the illness or the disease. And Pisces does rule opiates. Pisces does rule all of these substances that we take to experience escapism, but also that which gets us higher to the divine and to God. So I was actually just talking with my friend Eric, who we were listening to a video about ancient bloodlines and the current power structures and all this kind of stuff. But there was an acknowledgement of how opiate use goes up when we are in foreign wars, and because there is a self-medicating that is happening. And Eric brought up, he was like, I feel like, the ancient use of opiates, as like painkillers was much more integrative, that, you didn't, that you used a little bit, or you used, just enough, because you actually almost need to experience the pain that you're feeling, because it is feedback, it's telling you. And and when you're healing, the pain goes away, and you no longer need the opiate. But now this high concentration, this fentanyl world that just absolutely takes you out of your mind and your body, it is actually, we are missing the integrative step that is Pisces, where we reintegrate back into spirit. And then, until we experience that next impulse or spark to individuate back into Aries with all of that power and might, do not spiritually bypass the integrative step that is Pisces. It does get uncomfortable. It feels awkward to feel that you are connected to all things, and yet that's like what we really need. I mean, so much things that we're experiencing is that we're suffering in isolation, and we are toiling with the not self that is just compounded by everything that we're told to do, or that is expected of us from our jobs, from politicians, from people in our life that have not allowed us to change, or that are operating off of fear or like old programming. And this is really a time to understand that it is a challenging dynamic, and as this moon, squares over to Mars and stuff like that, this dynamic challenge between, getting to it and being active and communicating it, and needing to like let go and let God in Pisces. So I just want to encourage you to be easy on yourself, and also know that being easy on yourself while understanding that there's work to be done and that you will get to it in due time, and also not to accept the work that other people refuse to do for themselves as a way to escape your own mission, which is to construct your own stairway to heaven. Okay, I always talk about Aquarius as being like, it is the sign that tells you every individual is responsible for their own enlightenment and ascension. And that means building your own stairway to heaven. You cannot just run up someone else's stairway to heaven. You have to construct your own. And the nice thing is, when you have people that around you that are doing the work, and they are showing you by example how you can do your work, but you have to do your work, with the resources that you have and the tools that you have, to make it up to the heaven that is right for you. So we are, instead of experiencing a Pisces new moon as we have in the past few years, where there has been, and really for a long time, but we are really coming to this edge of Pisces, and Saturn at the end degrees of Aquarius, and we are getting a reinvigoration towards why the I am of Aries is so tremendous and important. And we are allowing ourselves to experience the bliss and devotion and the feeling of love and faith and support of something bigger that we are like inherently connected to, giving us the courage to I am, and that we will continue on with in Aries season. This is not to say that it's easy, but at the same time, if you can tune into the joy of it and know that it's like filling you up with love to do the work, and to really be settled in the I am, and to really embrace the I am, and really and to be able to stand up and stand in your self-sovereignty and why it's important, before someone asks you to give it away, or to become something else, or to become a servant in their to their world or story or mission or operation. This is giving you some really nice juicy downloads about how and why it is you are here at this time, and how to do the work, and what the next steps are. And just, it's bringing us back to love, and it's bringing us back to faith. And we still might be a little fiery about that, the love stuff, or defending what it is that our values and our ideals are. So this new moon in Pisces is reconnecting us to source. in a new way, in a profound way. It is updating what our highly personal connection to source is, while we're also experiencing the immersion and the interconnectivity of ourselves and the world and each other in spirit. So like I said, it's reinvigorating the I am. It's getting that reinvigoration of I am, and spirit is telling you why. We're like downloading the dream and the vision that we came to enact through the I am of Aries. But first you got to hold tight and get the whole transmission. So don't, maybe meditate, maybe take a bath. I've been really enjoying taking some Epsom salt baths and, just kind of getting an equilibrium that way. So yeah, we are getting a download of purpose and of our bliss and what that looks like. And so that we can have an understanding of what it is that we're doing in these next months while we experience these massive, massive shifts with Saturn moving into Pisces. Okay. So we gotta get the vision together before Saturn is in Pisces. And, Saturn at the end of Aquarius is remembering it's your vision. This is your heaven that you are building your stairwell to. So stop looking at the guy behind the curtain, or talking to the great and almighty Oz. You are the great and almighty fucking Oz. So, get it together. And then, there's going to be the responsibility to build it and to maintain that vision over these next 2.5, 3 years when Saturn moves through Pisces. And it can be hard because Pisces always feels like, it's cool 1 minute and then it's like you're getting slapped around by waves and you don't know how long you're going to be able to keep your head above water. So I definitely want you to understand and feel and intuit and embody the fact that we have this beautiful network of support and love between each other. And it's bringing that dream of spirit to the forefront after it has been in the background, seemingly unsupported or put on the back burner for a long time. And we're getting back in touch with it in a really profound way that is going to, it's going to be our fuel. So, I'm probably going to do the rest of what I've written in some kind of voiceover form or some other medium, because I don't want to read this like off the page to you. But I have to say that my own personal vision that I saw, so I know that I could use that imagery of Pam Gregory earlier. But the vision that I saw that I was thinking of, and is that of Jacob Seckler Coxey, who was this grassroots politician from Ohio who was like a one-man band in terms of speaking truth to power and holding the government responsible for this economic panic and depression of 1893. Which is in, this is Gilded Age era, and a number of failures in industry, in farming, and in finance meant that a whole lot of people lost their livelihood, left their financial security. They were out on the street, they had lost their homes, they'd lost their jobs, and Jacob Coxey, actually did a tour of speeches from Ohio and walked down to Washington, D.C. to demand that the federal government provide support, financial support, housing support, food, and jobs for the people that, for the working class, and for whatever middle class there was at the time, because Lord knows it was shrinking during the Gilded Age as the richer got richer and the poorer got poorer. So unfortunately, by the time he got down to DC, he got set up to make a speech on the lawn of the Capitol building, and they arrested him before he was able to make his speech for a huge rally of people awaiting. But this grassroots movement, this is like really something that is being activated and needs to be activated. And if you have that impulse right now to really use your voice and use your being and use your I am energy, because it is your responsibility, it's each one of our responsibility to do what resonates with us and is important to the maximum of our ability, and to connect with others that, you know, will have the other piece of the puzzle, that have, you know, the next key or step or something like that. We don't have to do all the work alone. We just have to do the work that is ours, and to do it in community is, you know, really valuable. And it's how we get the dream realized, and that the dream looks exactly as it should to each person that is bringing their energy and their part of the vision to the whole, and building it. So yeah, so Venus's, so just to jump back, so please check out Jacob Coxey, and he, you know, did it again in 1914, when again we were experiencing yet another depression that had been brought on by the government, you know, supporting industrialists and these huge money makers, and, you know, the people that had ties to old money and capital and stuff like that, while they let the rest of the world starve. And they left the rest of the United States starve, and just be happy to, you know, be alive. And that's just like not how it is. And Jacob knew it, and so do you. So not to get political here, but our humanity and our dignity and our ability to be humans and to fulfill our own human destiny, as, you know, supported by, informed by spirit through our individual selves, is at stake. And that is what we are, that is what is in, you know, that's what we stand to lose if we do not, if we put our head, you know, in the sand, or we do stop treading water, you know, in Pisces, and just collapse into the ocean of nebulous something, or we feel before we even started the work that it's gonna fail, you know. Like, I mean, Jacob Coxey got to the Capitol after literally walking from Ohio to DC, just to get, you know, harangued and yanked off his podium and put in jail before he was able to make his big, large speech that was demanding that the federal government provide jobs and provide money and housing and, you know, social support to all of these people that are in the street, because, you know, they were saying, listen, you support industrialists, you support, you know, these people, well, now you're seeing the limitations, and you need to make up for what those limitations of this capitalist system are. You're responsible for it. And he was holding them accountable. Accountability is a huge thing. Again, Saturn in Aquarius. So get ready, start holding yourself accountable, start knowing how you can rise to your ability in order to like make the overall thing better. And to live what is actually your story and not someone else's, some other prescribed story. Yeah. I do like what I wrote today. I'm going to read it right here. I said, the new moon in Pisces is reconnecting us to source in a new and updated way, a profound way that is highly personal and highly purposeful, full of vigor, Venus and Aries, and spiritual insight and creativity, perhaps in the form of creativity or romance, or a blossoming of love, divine love that comes through you and fuels, you know, your relationships now, and your relationship to self, and your relationship to the I am, okay? Your relationship to the I am, and that it is blessed. It is not just blind ego that has no purpose and that I need to get rid of my ego so that I can be one with God again. It's like, no, your ego is there to protect your fucking divine spark, and so that you can do the work while you're here, okay, and not get enmeshed with other I ams or enslaved by other I ams who feel entitled or seem to exude some other kind of like power or whatever. No, it's all a front, okay? It's all a front. Let it go. Just tune into you, okay? High five your neighbor who's also doing the work too. You know, maybe offer some water, and they'll offer you a snack later, and then you'll get back to getting, you know? Anyway, so the sun and moon connected at 1 degree, 22 minutes of Pisces, and this brings the bliss of universal connectivity and being one with the universe to the forefront of our experience. This vibrant network of love and support and devotion of spirit through spirit. We are all connected, and it is bringing this connection, this real cosmic network, okay? This real, like, you know, this is the real network, not this globalization network, you know, not everyone getting a chip implanted in their brain. The real network of connectivity that we have and experience is through spirit and through the earth, and they work in tandem with each other. And this is what's coming up during this time. And so please set your intentions as to what the dream is for you. What part of the dream are you here to create and build through yourself? Venus's ingress into Aries is highlighting the joy and purpose of the sovereign self, the individual snapping into existence, into its own consciousness for the purpose of being, embodying, and putting into action the great power, love, and mystery that is spirit / Pisces. This is a step that I was talking before, that we have been taught to. This integrative step of Pisces is something that we are continuously taught or asked to bypass spiritually, physically, professionally, relationally, and we are experiencing the challenge of not allowing that spiritual bypass to happen, which also means that you have to suffer the pain of the unknowing, you know, and then tune back into the support, the faith, and then, you know, individuate and get and say, you know, express your love loudly, express your I am loudly, and with courage. Again, courage has been on and off as we, you know, still have this Chiron and Aries, you know, this identity. Am I even worth being here? You know, it's very scary to experience that level of isolation and purposelessness. So, you know, those things are going to come. You're going to have waves of doubt. You're going to have waves of delusion. You're going to have these waves of feeling like a victim or wanting to be a martyr instead of just being yourself and your own individual God spark. That is all it's supernatural and it's supernatural. So just allow it to be. But yes, the spiritual bypassing of this final step of you know, reintegrating into spirit and allowing yourself and your entire experience to reintegrate. The actors on stage from that first vision that I gave you, that Pam Gregory gave us, of, you know, the actors on stage with the scenery that needs to be, you know, replaced, you know, renewed, taken down, and the actors just getting louder and louder in order to keep your attention on the narrative and in the story. They would rather you stay engaged in their story as they rehearsed it, instead of you activating and following your impulse and your curiosity and starting your own story and building it and building your own cast of characters and stuff like that. So we also have, like I said, an out of sign conjunction. We have an out of sign conjunction in Saturn in the late degrees of Aquarius, which is reminding us of the work and responsibility of self-structuring our story, our reality, and our individually and together, to realize the dream, to bring that great love that is spirit to earth, and also to allow spirit to experience its own power through its own individual God sparks running around doing its bidding, or not. But, its own power is reflected in us. So again, getting off of someone else's sad, tired ass, maybe seemingly safe program or story or, employee list or whatever is not how spirit gets, reassured of its own power and purpose. And it's certainly how you undermine your own. So, this is, again, it's about faith, it's about courage, and it's about the responsibility of doing the work and accepting the work and holding yourself accountable, holding other individuals in your community accountable, and actually creating community so that we have a community that is different and can stand up and have, show truth to power. Again, we are late stage. Pluto is at the last degree of Capricorn, okay? And I call this I use the terms late stage capitalism and late stage patriarchy interchangeably, and that is really what that last degree is. That anaretic degree is seriously going to take, it's going to put up a fight, and then it's going to realize that it has no air in its sails, and then it's going to put up as much of a fight as it can before it transitions into Aquarius. So, again, the responsibility of self-structuring ourselves, our story, our reality, individually, to realize the dream, to bring to earth the great love that is spirit, for each of us to experience and express and partake in the way that is, that resonates with us the most highly. We are being challenged to do just that, to build our own stairway to heaven, and recognize that it is work and it might be daunting and we might want to procrastinate or numb ourselves or avoid it, but there's only one way, and it's through. So enjoy, be cognizant about, and really big of really loving and big in what your intentions are for this new moon. There is a challenge between balancing these dynamic energies at this time. The need to allow and let go and be receptive and feel loved and supported and immersed in the universe. While, and that's, like I said, the moon and the sun in Pisces, it's Venus, Jupiter in Neptune in Pisces, but Venus, Mars, and Saturn are requiring our active participation in our dream and our bliss construction. So please be easy on yourself. Also, don't suffer any fools. Remember the dream that you are activating, that you are bringing alive to you and through you. And don't get caught up. Do not get caught up in the illusion, the delusion, drama, martyrdom, victimhood, or escapism of, those who don't have the faith in themselves or don't have the force to realize their own sovereignty and how sacred it is and how important it is and what its relationship to spirit is. Or those who don't have an identity or are still just working, through their identity wounds and, the misery in wanting company, and you just have to have the courage to let them experience their own level of isolation and let go, because you're here to do your work. And anyone who makes you feel like it's your responsibility to save them, or that it's their responsibility to save you, just let it go, okay? Because it's a delusion or it's a manipulation. And yeah, like I say, don't hate, create. And yeah, if you can dream it, you can do it. But not if you're waiting for permission from someone outside of yourself. So these are all things to think about under this new moon in Pisces. We are going to also have it's a lovely day today and tomorrow. Happy Mardi Gras. It's going to be fun. And there is, between today and tomorrow, especially tomorrow, on Mardi Gras, we are going to have the moon conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So might be some of us getting a little weird, might be tying some on, might be indulging a little bit. Know that it's also sacred play, but do be careful. Do not get lost in it. Do not get taken out to sea with no way back. So I hope that this has been helpful. Again, I'm Elisa Anamkar for Anamkar Astrology. Please like, follow, share, subscribe, and contact me through the website if you'd like to book a reading. Until next time, all the bless.